Now, the gold is deliverable on demand by these countries who will mint their own tokens. So these countries will not have to send their gold to a central location like Beijing or Moscow. They will hold it themselves. It will be audited, significantly audited by independent auditors with tremendous penalties for deviating from the unit protocol. But what it does is it eliminates the need to send these countries gold to any central location like the Bank of England or the New York Fed, the way it used to be, in this case, to a central location for the BRICS. All of the countries, instead of having a BRICS currency, will be able to maintain their own central bank digital currency. Digital yuan can trade with the digital real with Brazil. They can go back and forth, but any settlement done in energy or to whatever degree they want to use the unit token, they will be able to do so with the ability to stand for delivery on the gold backing it. And when you realize that each country will have their own monetary authority and autonomy, the ability to trade over Enbridge, which is not compatible with dollars, which allows countries to maintain their own monetary autonomy and settle in a gold-backed currency, if you will, that they hold within their own borders. Well, do you think there's any coincidence with the massive accumulation and repatriation of everybody's gold when Project Enbridge is backed by the BIS, who did the exact same thing right before they reclassified it Tier 1? What this will do will be completely eliminate the need to stockpile U.S. treasuries, which will push rates to the moon ultimately, and it will completely eliminate the need to stockpile U.S. dollars for settlement. And I did an interview with a very smart man yesterday named Vince Lancy, and Vince said to me that he believes that the Chinese who...
Real-world asset wealth. How to protect your wealth from the upcoming financial impact. Download this brand new report for free and get instant access to our resources. Click the button below the video now.
You know, they think about all the gold that has been delivered by that group I was telling you, Shanghai. Well, that's a proxy for the PBOC and People's Bank of China. And when there's been articles out there that China stopped buying gold for 2 months, well, bullshit, they did. They're buying it through the proxies like Shanghai. If their commercial proxy banks buy gold from the refineries in South Africa or Switzerland, they don't have to tell the IMF. If they buy gold that's not 995 pure, they don't have to tell the IMF. They've been mining between 400 and 500 metric tons for 25 years. They're the largest producer in the world. They don't tell the IMF that. We're supposed to believe they only have 2,600 metric tons of gold. Alistair McLeod says they have 40,000 just in their domestic production alone. And in all the gold that they have been buying through their proxy banks and delivering through their proxy banks on behalf of the PBOC, none of that is reported, so much so the IMF just came out and said China is way understating their gold. Why would they? If gold is going to back a new system, right? He says to me, Vince said that China and India and Russia will do all they can to peg their central bank digital currencies to gold at the same time, because then it will comprise the majority of the currency units within the BRICS plus currency basket. And they're the ones accumulating it all. And so when you see, and people say, well, how do we know the numbers they're saying are right? Well, they're not any more right than, the 8,300 metric tons the United States is supposed to have hasn't been audited since 53. And when Ron Paul has petitioned to audit it, he's been turned down twice. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you, Danny, is that we are on the cusp right now, maybe the foothills, if you will, of some really scary shit, whereby the dollar is on its way out. I think the death warrant to it has just been signed. And if indeed they do come in October and announce officially that the unit will be their settlement currency of choice, you will see a dumping of treasuries and a dumping of dollars, which will start slowly. Maybe they're already doing it, and accelerate to a degree that we can't believe, because it already is. As China has been dumping treasuries from 3 trillion to 700 billion, Saudi Arabia dumping, Japan dumping, Russia dumped. All of these countries are dumping, and they're buying gold instead because it's the only other tier 1 asset, and they know it will be part of this new system, and they're bringing it home, like India. So as the West has to find someone to sell their treasuries to because we're creating $100,000 of debt every second, which is a trillion every 100 days. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. I mean, keep going. And is it absurd? Hell yes, it's absurd. And what's that? $6 million a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. That's 360 million. And I mean, the numbers are just absurd. And they're getting so out of control that this ain't gonna stop. And I think it's very, very important to understand that the incentive to hold US dollars is dying. The incentive to hold US treasuries is basically dead. But so who's buying our treasuries? Oh, well, we're supposed to believe it's the United Kingdom. They're gonna quickly be number one in treasury holdings. They're a broke country buying our bonds of an even more broke country so that we can pay the interest on the debt we've issued long ago and buy commodities from the BRICS country, who take all of those dollars and used to put them into US treasuries. Instead, they've been selling treasuries and buying gold because it will back a new system. It's a doom loop for the dollar. The more we buy in commodities from the BRICS nations, the more they divest of the dollar and buy gold, which dumps the value of the dollar, pushes up the value of gold, which will be the primary settlement currency. The United States has virtually nothing, the West has virtually nothing in the way of commodity and commodity development. We've mothballed everything. We don't have the commodities that we need. China produces 80% or mines 80% and the Eurasian continent of all the rare earths. And in last year, they refined 100%. We haven't thought this stuff out very well. And so when you talk about a transition to commodities, we have nothing in the way of manufacturing capacity. We've outsourced all of that. We have very little when we put it together with the UK and all the other Western G7 countries, very little in the way of natural resources. Who's got it all? Oh yeah, it's those BRICS countries. And who's been buying it all? Oh yeah, it's those BRICS countries. And who's been taking possession of the gold? Oh yeah, it's those BRICS countries. And so to dismiss what is happening is a massive, massive, massive mistake. I look at it as probably the biggest event of my career when you see, in essence, the head of the New Development Bank, the former president of Brazil, say, in theory, we have agreed to a new settlement currency, and here it is. I read the white paper. It'll blow your mind if you do so. It's about 50 pages. You put that together with Enbridge, which is non-US dollar compatible, and Saudi Arabia became a full participant. You can look at Occam's razor. Sorry to monopolize all of this time, Danny, but you can see how real this is becoming, man. And I hope your listeners do as well.